Hello students, and welcome to a tutorial on how to do your cell project research. Alright, so cell project research, I'll show you what the worksheet is in a bit. We'll first have to find binder items. You log on to leadershipbio.ning.com. Then you go to where it says binder items, and then you go down to where it says homework center. Click on that, and it'll take you to this page. It's called the homework center. Again, you look for the day that we're assigned homework. So for example, today is the 22nd. If you had me periods 1 through 4, if you had me periods 5 through 7, you had the 23rd class, which was Wednesday. It's due on Monday, so this is our Thanksgiving homework, you can say. So we click on that, and we get to our homework page. Okay, so here's the homework, and we're supposed to get that letter signed about reminding our parents about that exam December 2nd. We're supposed to do the photosynthesis and cell respiration video. You watch this video with me in it, and you answer these questions. And then the last thing is this cell project research day worksheet. So you click on it here if you don't have it, and then this video clip right here will help you with question 1A, which asks you about cells, tissues, and organs and all that. So first, let's open up this worksheet, and again, when you click on that, this page will come up, and I'm going to make this a little bit clearer, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Alright, so let's take a look at the question so we can see what it's asking us to do. So don't worry about these instructions up here. These are kind of outdated. I just want you to go right to A, B, C, D, etc. So first we need to research our cell. So we have to know what organ this cell is part of, and also what the difference is between cells, tissues, and tissues organs. So here it says Sciencesaurus. That was a book that we were going to use in class, but instead I'm providing you a video. So again, you just go on the homework page, and here's the video that you use for that. So you click on that, and you're going to watch a video that explains that. So that can help you answer number 1. But you need to know about your cell. So what cell are we doing? Well, you already wrote it down. During class we assigned them. And so you go up to binder items. And so for the homework, you're going to need cell project resources. So let's click on that. Okay. Alright, so here we have this page that comes up, and you have all the cells. So let's pretend that I'm doing the heart cell. Okay, I'll just pick the first one. So I'm going to click on heart muscle cell, and I get a lot of information. The other thing is I also get not only websites, but I get videos, and I get topic questions or topic words that I need to use when I search on Google and get research. So what I have down here is I can also email any other student, and I might say, hey students, hey classmates, who else is doing this cell so we can collaborate? So that's how I would make a comment, and you're going to add that comment, and then someone else will respond. They'll say, hey, you know what? I'm in period 3. We should work together. Cool. So, we can share answers and that stuff. You can collaborate. That's fine with me. Work together, maybe build your own together. But you have to build your own, you can't build one as a team. But you could work together and kind of build them similar as long as you have your individual one. But this is where you can ask each other questions once you know who else has your cell. Alright, so it's a good site. Now, let's say, so you're going to go through these websites. You're going to click on these. Again, you're gonna learn a lot about them. So you have to click on all these and watch them and learn from them. And then once you go through them, you'll be able to answer these questions. So let's go back here. So what is this organ? What organ is this cell a part of? So let's look at cardiac muscle. So cardiac muscle, again, it says it's a heart muscle cell. So once you research it, you'll probably learn that a myocyte or a cardiac cell is part of the heart. So what organ is this part of? It's part of the heart organ. So you'll learn what organ it's part of. So let's say I have a pancreas cell, which is, you'll learn it's called pancreatic cell. Well, what organ is it part of? It's part of the pancreas, right? Or a pneumocyte. A pneumocyte is a fancy word for lung cell. What organ is it part of? It's part of the lungs. So you'll get the hang of it. And you'll realize that some cells might not be part of an organ. They might be floating in the blood, for example, like your white blood cells, your red blood cells. So if you would have to pick an organ, it wouldn't really be an organ as we think of. It'd be part of an organ system. It'd be part of the circulatory system, right? Or the immune system. And so you want to put that, what organ it's part of or what organ system it's part of. And you'll complete that there. Again, we'll check your work together, and I'll help you with that when you come back to class. Do as best as you can. Usually you could figure what organ it is part of. Ask your classmates, again, by commenting on the website Ask for Help. And let's go to part B now. Even though this cell is small and part of a bigger organ, a cell is the smallest living thing that can still perform the function of that organ. All that means is that a cell, as small as it is, it can do the same role or the same responsibility that the bigger organ can. So that little small cell can do what that big cell or what the big organ can, but at a small level. So we just want to know what the function of your cell is. So let's say I have a liver cell, and maybe the point of the liver is to make to destroy toxic substances. So that's my function. Or maybe I have a heart cell, and the whole point of the heart cell is to pump. So it's a muscle, and it keeps pumping and contracting to help our heart pump. Or maybe it's a mucus cell and supposed to produce mucus and to help trap pathogens. Or maybe it's a neuron, and the job is to send electrical and chemical messages so we can communicate information about the environment and about our movements and things we need to do. So again, just what is the function of that cell? So research that. It might do one thing, it might do three things. Put as much as you can down here. I want this page to be filled up. Each question, remember this, each number at least have 4 sentences in it. So fill this up with at least 4 sentences minimum. Here, 4 sentences. Let's go to part C. What does your cell look like? So here's where you draw it below, and let's say it's a neuron. So let's look at the shape, size, and texture. So I'm going to look at a little example I put here. So let's look at this one. Let's say, for example, you have a red blood cell. So what's the shape? It looks kind of like a donut without the hole in it, and that's how I would describe it. Or some of you might say it looks like a sweet tart candy or something like that, or I don't know what you would call that, but you would talk about something that looks like it. Describe the texture. It doesn't look rough, it looks smooth, and it has that shape or texture so that it can travel through the blood without cutting your veins and arteries. It's got to travel in there at high speed, so it should be smooth. And so that shape fits the function and the purpose, what it has to do. Here's a white blood cell, and so I would describe it as very squishy. The color is white, the texture is soft, the shape is pretty round, and it's like that so it can go through the blood as well at high speeds, and then so it can also squeeze in through blood vessels whenever there's an injury and we have to go to an area and clean up. Remember the inflammatory response where the white blood cells have to kind of squeeze their way as the blood vessels open so they can go to the infected area and eat up all the debris and bacteria and destroy other pathogens and bacteria. So that's an example of one. Or here's a skeletal muscle cell. It's very long. Here's the actual here's a cell, and it has these structures called sarcomeres, and also has these myofibrils that come out of it, and it has many nuclei, and so I would describe it as very long, cylindrical, and it just elongates, and it's kind of this stretchy thing, and that makes sense for the purpose of this skeletal muscle cell. It's in our muscles so that we can expand and contract and do all the functions of life that are related to the muscles. Or here's a neuron. The neuron has the function of communicating with other cells, so that's why it looks kind of like spider-like. It has all these branchings, and again, I'm describing the texture, I'm describing the shape, I'm even drawing it and everything, and just describe it as much as you can with words. Okay, so that's what you do for that part, and you draw it below. Next thing is what we were just talking about, is how does the shape, size, and texture of this cell help it perform its function. So for the neuron, why is it looking at like all branched like? How does that help it perform its job? Well, so it can connect to many other cells, so it can collect information from all angles, and maybe that's why it's branched. So just do the best you can on that one. Try to give it not only a good guess, but research it, and you'll find the answer why it has that shape. What additional structures or organelles does this cell have that help it perform its function? One thing you need to remember is that every cell that you're going to do, since they're all animal cells, they're pretty much going to have everything. And it's going to be tough to find pictures that show everything that it has inside. But the number one rule is no matter what, you're going to find some good pictures and some bad pictures when you do your research. But just remember that every cell you're doing has all these structures that we talked about in an animal cell. They're all going to have mitochondria, ER, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, nucleus, cell membrane, all those structures that we have. So remember that, because you're going to find some pictures. You're going to say, hey, Mr. Vargas, this cell that I have has no organelles. That's not true. They all have organelles. It's just some pictures show them all and some pictures don't. So remember, they have them all. You're going to still include them all, whether your picture shows it or not. Okay, so the next important thing, again, is just what additional structures does it have? So aside from the ones we learned in class, remember those ones that we've tested on for a long time, different levels of tests, what else does it have? For example, here's an example of one. So let's look at this one here. For example, the nerve cell. Okay, so we know that it has a nucleus, it's got mitochondria, it's got all these things in there, but it has other structures. It's got dendrites, right? It's got an axon, it's got a myelin sheath, terminal buttons. So this is different about the cell. It's got different structures, okay? Let's look at the muscle cell. The muscle cell has a lot of other things. It's got over here, if we move this out of the way, it's got structures like these sarcomeres it has. It's got myofibrils, it's got actin, myosin, and then within it, it has these structures that help it contract. And so name these structures. All these additional things that you see, name them. For example, a sperm cell will have an acrosome at the head of the sperm, which it contains enzymes and helps it penetrate into the egg. So that's a structure that we haven't learned about. So anything you see that's different, unique, special about your cell, make sure you include it in there. Next, we have what organelles does it have more of and why? So describe the internal organization of the organelles, explain why it has more of a certain type of organelle. For example, heart cells, because heart cells pump a lot, they constantly need energy. So guess what? They're going to have a lot of mitochondria because they need to pump 24/7. The heart doesn't stop, it needs constant energy supply. So it's always going to be breaking down food molecules, so it needs a lot of mitochondria. For example, the liver. The liver's job is to detoxify any dangerous chemicals. So let's say drugs, alcohol, vitamins, and all these things that if you have a lot of it, it can be deadly. So the liver is in charge of doing that, breaking it down. So what structure in the cell helps you break down toxic substances? You might say lysosomes. Okay, that's part of it. But I would say smooth ER, because that's the main job of the smooth ER, is to break down toxic substances. So in a liver cell, you would have a lot of smooth ER because that helps it do the function of the cell. So those are some examples. We can also say neurons. So like, let's say you have the brain cell. Well, brain cells release a lot of proteins through we call the neural synapse, or the space of that neuron where it connects to the muscle or to another neuron, that little synaptic space. So in that space, there's proteins that go across. Those are called neurotransmitters. Those are proteins. So you need a lot of ribosomes, a lot of Golgi apparatus to modify and package those. You need a lot of smooth ER and things like that. So we would say that those cells, the neurons, have a lot of ribosomes. Okay, so now then you're going to go to G. G is very easy. What is a scientific name of this cell? For example, a heart cell is really called a cardiac cell or a myocyte. For example, a liver cell is not called a liver cell. It's called a hepatocyte. Brain cell is not a brain cell. It's really called a neuron. So just look for the scientific name of your cell and just write it down here. That's an easy one-word answer. Okay? Or you might have multiple words for the same cell. Next thing is, what are some diseases caused by this cell not working properly? Explain these diseases. So again, this one takes a long time. So this one you need to write H and I, answer those questions on the back. You might need separate pages as you learn a lot about these things. So learn about diseases related to your cell or related to your organ that the cell is a part of. So for example, a heart cell, well, what's related to the heart? Well, heart attacks. I'm going to learn about heart attacks. I'm going to learn about high blood pressure. I'm going to learn about hypertension, which, high blood pressure as well. So I'm going to learn about things related to that topic. To figure this out, again, constantly, you need to be looking at this page because it tells you all the topics. I already listed some diseases: heart attacks, atherosclerosis, heart transplants, aneurysms, things like that. And you can keep looking at it. Arrhythmia. So these are some diseases related to it. So you have this page to help you. And you can just look these up on Google, use these websites, use these videos to help you understand more about your topic. And then we go to the next one, other interesting information. Going back to H, I would say write about at least 3-4 paragraphs about these diseases and explaining them in depth. So when you come back, we can have a conversation and help you finish your project. I, other interesting information. Again, I'll say another 3 or 4 paragraphs. What else did you learn about your cell? Maybe it's the latest research about your cell. Maybe it's other amazing things that it can do. Tell me all about your cell as much as you can. Again, you can Google that or use your topics that I gave you. Use these to Google these keywords and get more information. All right, and that's pretty much it. Keep in mind, communicate constantly with your partners. Email or send messages to each other, and you should be fine for this research project assignment. So again, your homework is to complete this page by using the cell resources page. Click on the cell that you have, and again, watch those things. Learn a lot about your cell, and we're going to bring this page complete on Monday. Have a great Thanksgiving and enjoy this assignment. Learn and get into it so that it can be a great experience. You're going to learn a lot.